Look, this is just an informal chat. We were wondering what you were working on in your lab.
Well, I've invented a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Right, and what's positive about that?
Well, it's a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, could it also give worms to ex-boyfriends?
This is a drug for the world to give worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, great. Thanks for stopping by.
You just don't get it here.
Okay, you're checked in?
Yeah, thank you.
Here's your AIDS ribbon.
No thanks.
You don't want to wear an AIDS ribbon?
No.
But you have to wear an AIDS ribbon.
I have to?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't want to.
But everyone wears the ribbon. You must wear the ribbon.
What you are? You're a ribbon bully.
Hey! Hey, you! Come back here! Come back here and put this on!
You found me beautiful once.
Honey, you got real ugly.
Tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years. Do ya still want me? If I don't see a ribbon round the old oak tree, I'll stay on the bus, forget about us, put the blame on me.
Did you know that every 7 minutes a black person is born in this country without soul? Hello, I'm B.B. King. Won't you help Don Simmons and the thousands of others that suffer from this tragic disorder? Its cruel symptoms can strike anyone. Let's take a look.
I think the Republican Party has done one heck of a job. Don't you, June?
I'll say, Ward, we Republicans have turned this country around.
Safety and good mileage are the 2 things I looked for in a new car. That's why I bought a Volvo station wagon.
Hi, I'm president of the David Hartman fan club here in Glendale. I've even met David Hartman once. What a neat guy.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cherry. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheroo. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you.
This is B.B. King saying, won't you please give, so that Don Simmons here and so many others can become useful members of society.
Or below me a kiss, and that's lucky too.
Right to blacks without soul. Post Office Box 1305A, Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you.
That's disgusting.
Mr. Moore, will you sign my DVD of Watchmen Babies? Which of the babies is your favorite?
You see what those bloody corporations do? They take your ideas and they suck them. Suck them like leeches until they've gotten every last drop of the marrow from your bones.
Hey, Teacup, why don't you chill out?
Very well. Oh, little Lulu, I love you, Lou, just the same. Ah.
Ma'am, Sheriff, he wants to see you.
In our national anthem, we've got bombs bursting in the air, for God's sakes. We drive around with our shotguns on the outside of the pickups so the neighbors will see them. The first sound of democracy came from a gun like this one. And that's why the ban on assault weapons has been allowed to lapse. It's all about our basic civil rights. It's about democracy. It's about freedom. Denny Crane.
What? Registered commies, not guns. Oh, he was probably a member of the National Rifle Association. There was a group that helped criminals get guns so they could shoot citizens. It was a public service.
This is where he every day I'm wearing a necklace like this, and he's in this urn.
Is his ashes?
Yeah, his ashes right here and here. Yep. So both of my grandpas right here.
What's that other thing on the necklace?
That's a Punisher emblem.
What's that about?
I like the Punisher just because he's he takes his the law into his own hands to punish the people that wronged him.
Yeah, I asked Denny, how do you feel about gun control?
For communists.
What about banning assault weapons in the private sector?
As soon as you say it's okay to ban assault weapons, my friend, even in the private sector, you make it easier to take guns away from hunting than personal protection. Soon, the military and the police are without firearms.
Let's get back to
Right, so these punks,
Yes.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual. Wow. But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces?
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang! Wow. Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Bang! Try to shoot them in the back. But I don't run so good either. Anyway, you guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility.
Around the mountain, she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes.
Excuse me.
Come on,
are you the singing bush?
Follow the sea with a yeah-ho, we'll blow the man down. Pay attention and listen.
Let me talk to him.
Excuse
us. Are you the singing bush?
Yeah-ho, blow the man down. Yeah-ho, blow the man down.
Hello?
Yeah-ho,
Hi.
blow the man down.
Hi.
Give me some time to blow the man down.
Excuse us.
Good night, ladies. Good
Hey!
night, ladies. Good night, ladies. We're gonna leave you now. Merrily we roll
Forget it.
along,
My
roll
guess
along,
is
roll
this is the
along,
singing
merrily
bush.
we roll
Hello there, son. Do you know where Mr. St. Cloud is?
Oh, goody. I'm being hazed by my big villain. I wear my rubber panties just in case you tickle me. I always make wee-wee with tickles.
Are you fucking kidding me? That's St. Cloud?
Tell me, Senator, did you nurse Catherine yourself?
What?
Did you breastfeed her?
Now, wait a minute.
Yes, I did.
Toughened your nipples, didn't it?
Oh, son of a bitch.
Amputate a man's leg and he can still feel it tickling. Tell me, Mom, when your little girl is on the slab, where will it tickle you?
Take this thing back to Baltimore.
I got 5 pieces of candy. I got a chocolate bar. I got a quarter. I got a rock.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. Now everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs and it's full of vim. We're gonna start with high jump. Just watch this chorus steps.
It's the day of the show.
Originally settled as Ocean View during the 1850s, the city's population boomed with displaced
Good evening, trick-or-treaters. Welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. This is our 195th consecutive Tuesday we've gotten together at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, everybody that's going to join us. Hit the thumbs up if you're going to enjoy this. You know, you can have an idea if you're going to enjoy it. Do me a solid. Think about doing that. If you're new here, think about subscribing to the channel. And also, you know, maybe hit the bell for notifications so you can find out when I have a video that uploads. It's not very often, so I'm not going to inundate you like a lot of other channels out there. In fact, probably even if you do hit the bell for notification, you might not see a lot of it when it comes up. But we do have a couple videos that we did recently. For those of you that don't know, or people that just like seeing this.
My name is
Yule Carter, comic book retailer in Berkeley, California.
That's right. This is not only Fantastic Comics Presents the channel, the show. It's Fantastic Comics the channel. It's Fantastic Comics the store. This is from a store's point of view. And all the customers that I talk to over the course of the week, it formulates and gestates and becomes some sort of thing that I put out here every week. We got a lot of comic books to talk about that are coming out tomorrow. Not as much as last week. We're going to look at the best of last week. That's my favorite segment now. But one of the things that we talk about in the store is often a thing I don't want to really give a whole lot of time to. So that's when I play this video. All right, the Wrestling Minute. Wrestling and comics converge quite often. Just take a look at Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers, and you'll see like a suplex or a clothesline or something like that. And yeah, so there you go. First up, Bryan Danielson over at AEW. This is not the picture where it happened. He broke an orbital bone in his face. So he's going to be out of wrestling, which is a shame because he was ramping up this year, understanding that this was going to be his final real crazy work year. And he was going to do all the things that he wanted to do. And now there is no more year, at least as far as, his wrestling is concerned. And who knows how far into next year it's going to be. In a somewhat related note, AEW Jon Moxley suffered a concussion and wrestled the entire match. It's about 10 minutes worth. It might have got cut a little bit short. But then Jon Moxley came out recently and he was talking about what protocols might happen if there's, things like, concussions in the middle of a ring. You don't want to give up the match. But you want to like protect the performer at the same time. What is the way that you should do this? And he started talking about some elaborate system. I mean, elaborate as far as like, how many companies could do the kind of things that he's suggesting? And it's just me kind of coming up, with this right now. In a maybe somewhat related note, and that's the thing about AEW, they push the limits of what you can do physically and come back from. And there's a lot of people that say, oh, take a look at all the breaks that people take in between. Well, I would rather have you a little bit more often than recuperating. This isn't a real fight, you know what I mean? So WWE had a match between Xia Li and Candice LeRae, and Candice LeRae got queasy. She got hit in the head. She was like running around for about a half a minute, and then eventually the match was called by the referee, and they're obviously doing some sort of concussion angle. Some people suggested that this makes the referee look weak. But if you know a name of a referee in WWE, I'd be shocked if I knew anybody that did, because I know I don't. And that's the way they like it. So who cares what she looks like? At least she called the match. But it's interesting that this angle's going on around the same time as, John Moxley is talking about concussions and stuff like that. And there you go. That's the Wrestling Minute. All right. Thank you for joining us once again. Tonight, we're going to be talking about loyalty or excitement. What makes you buy comics? Best of last week, not best of the week, best of last week. That's what happens when you type it up all the time. Why don't you just save it? NCBD, New Comic Book Day. There's going to be a Crack the Slab. And I went to the comic show. Before we talk about the comic show, I guess this is a real good time to say...
Hello. 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 Oh. Go. Look out. Hello.
Look out. Hey, everybody. Comments. Let's go to the beginning. First up, Eric O'Sullivan. Huzzah. Hello, everyone from Wednesday morning in Boston. That's right. He's asleep right now. Hope you're all doing well and having a happy Halloween. Exactly. Fantinuum, yo, yo, yo. Of course, excitement breeds loyalty. That's like asking if people will return to a restaurant if delicious food is available. Yeah, but we'll be talking about that. Christine, we'll finally watch it live again. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween to you. Congratulations for being able to take time out of your busy schedule and making it here. Talking Soul. All right. All right, now we're getting to a problem here, and we're going to address this in a second. First, we have a poll up. What candy did you like getting? I'm assuming most of you are old enough to where you're not trick-or-treating, unless you're taking other people out trick-or-treating, other kids. That's a thing. I understand, but you're not really I'm really talking about the past. You know what I mean? So I said Snickers, Reese's, Starburst, and Smarties. And I was trying to get 2 non-chocolates and 2 something else's that I remember always getting. So first up, Smarties, ? Who likes Smarties? They're just as bad as candy corn. I was going to say candy corn, but I thought that was an obvious one. Jilby Pill's in the other room saying hello, and she's also laughing because she was like Smarties. But, and I wanted to throw this out there, she was actually suggesting another candy, something that was in pieces. Is there anything that y'all think should go instead of Smarties? Hopefully Jill hasn't tainted the pool. LK, you forgot the correct answer, Kit Kat, and that's understandable. And I would love to have everybody's say Almond Joy. I dare you. I dare you. Jill wanted also butter. What is that one? I can't remember. I hate it. It's the worst candy in the world. Oh yeah, and hello everybody. All right, Olivia Lauren. Happy Halloween, all. So many. Oh, here she already did it. God damn it, Jill. Couldn't stay away. So many candy choices. What does the chat think about nerds? See, now I would have at least said I didn't want to go Reese's and then Reese's, pieces. But I would suggest most people probably want that or Skittles, right? She's like nerds, and I'm thinking that's really the New York Seltzer days. Are nerds. Nobody really cares about New York Seltzer anymore. Yes, that's exactly right, Elitha Lauren. The problem with nerds is sometimes half the box was great. Ugh. Don Simmons, the man with no soul. That's so sad. Give give freely. Dwayne Muth. Hello and happy Halloween. Happy Halloween to you. Illicit Lore. Alan Moore should start a YouTube channel where he reviews manga and anime. That'd be great. Oh, LK, you know, I don't feel this way. Darn straight, Danny Crane. Let's get Lane Kramer, evening to all. See, Frank was okay until the thieves ran away. Can't shoot someone in the back if they're retreating. And if you can't see, also, he's not really a good shot. We had one set of trick-or-treaters come. It was a bunch of them, but it was just once. And that's right, we're going to be doing the most scary X-Men comic I've ever read. Also, LK says, I just got Fandango and Captain Marvel MCU stands upset at me today on X. I joked, how much did Disney pay to have Fandango say that Marvel's is the most anticipated holiday season movie? Hi. Holiday season, it's out in like 9 days. Is there a holiday within like 10 days of that? I mean, really, seriously. When is like college? When are the classes out? It's got to be at least a couple weeks, right? We might as well be saying everything is delayed. Has Rachel Zegler, or is it just Aquaman? Hey. Oh boy. These movies, I got to admit, I don't really care. You all know this. See, I don't kind of going into the conversation about excitement and whether or not that, like, does the excitement of a movie, even when a movie is really good and exciting, did that make people Marvel fans? What if you're like, you know, what if you were really excited about the DC movie and you didn't care about the Marvel movies? Does that get you in for the DC comics? When you go in and you see the comics and they maybe aren't quite the same representation as that you see on movies, you know, and stuff like that, how quickly does that excitement fade? And what within the comics that you like is exciting, and how often do they do it? And can you keep doing it all the time? You know, there has to be, but we'll get into that. My headcanon is LK and Glenn Kramer are the same person. Yeah, I know. They aren't. And that's right. You all can order from me. You know what? Let me put the banner for the store up one more time. You can give me a call like Lane does. But also sometimes on Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook a lot. Just look up Buell Carter. You can get me on that. It's a little bit easier. Send pictures of your comics that you like. That's what Lane does with his statues. It's quite. We're gonna have a show where we show his shit off. It'll be great. Thumbs up in the chat. We need at least 40 to get Lane on the show. So tell a friend. Going back to comments really quick. Yeah, I know Danielson is hurt again. Sigh. Can never stay healthy long enough to have that long-term champ run. Well, the thing is like he should have had AEW. There has to be a time when you pull the trigger. You keep getting all these people and you never pull the trigger. And you do it so that you can say, hey, look, I'm really loyal to my people. And that's what it feels like with Tony Khan. I'm just being honest about this. I'm going to do right by Kenny Omega. And when Bryan Danielson comes in, they're going to do a tie. And then it'll never really happen again because then we're going to move the belt on to Paige. And it's like, what? You have the star that everybody wants. And then you have CM Punk. And it took a while for that one, too. And they kind of did the same shit. And before those guys, they had Brian Cage, who wasn't WWE, but he was something that people liked. They got Miro, Rusev. People really liked him, and they saddled him with like a shockingly horrible story in the WWE is usually something like when you get a new person, it's new. And you're seeing it, and it's not what the final evolution, the form of this character is going to be. We all remember what Roman Reigns was in the beginning, and there was a lot of stuff in between, and it is nothing like it is now. Big dog. And there's a lot of things like that. But he should have pulled the trigger with Brian. He should have pulled the trigger with some of the other guys that he brought in. They're just bigger and badder, or why did you get them? You're just wasting money. He's doing stuff with Christian Cage now. Great. But think about all that stuff he's still with Luchasaurus sometimes. It's ridiculous. Oh, Butterfinger, that's what it was. Yeah. Or the wrestlers could always, work safer. And that's what WWE is. And it's very PG-13, and they don't ever really like to bleed, even if it's fake. And, it's like, these certain moves that always happen at the same time. And maybe you don't know how the match is going to end because they allow shenanigans and cheating and stuff like that. Whereas in AEW, there is no shenanigans and cheating. It's just right in front of the referee. It doesn't fucking matter. And this goes into the comic book conversation because they don't know how to work safely and always look to put dangerous moves, especially in meaningless matches or moments. Over the course of the year when comic books are coming out, you can't just be ramping up the excitement. We saw it in Avengers where like every storyline was a new thing going on, and it was bigger and badder and, way bigger and badder than it was before. What do you say after bigger and badder? Greater and larger? Whatever. Just a synonym for the same fucking thing. How do you keep doing it? You need some quality to bring loyalty, I think. A lot more than just not necessarily excitement. But what gets you excited? Yeah, it's all high spots by unsafe workers. And yeah, that's the old me talking about it. But I was never really a big ECW guy either. When you got like a Rob Van Dam and a Lance Storm doing their thing there, that was some magic. But you need those other things to make those things stand out and be bigger and badder and better. No, I didn't see it, but I will look for it just later on. I always dress up as a comic store owner, always. It's almost always. It's like I'm always wearing something that has somebody else's thing to it. And it's a little embarrassing, but it is my gimmick, I guess. I feel like when you're watching the Crumb documentary and he's talking about, look at all these people. They're wearing he was in San Francisco. They're wearing sports and his 49ers gear. Because nobody back then wore Golden State Warrior gear up here. Zing. Yeah, so I got DC on. I don't even like Walking Dead's cool, but I don't even like AMC. I'm like, oh damn, they had to go and put that AMC. This is one of my most complimented things I wear, even if I'm actually trying to look, decent. It's like, oh, I love that jacket you're wearing, that sweatshirt. I think I called you out with the Smarties. Yes, you did. Well, it's because Jill and I were having this argument, and that's really what it was. And yeah, Butterfinger. Butterscotch. That's the old man in me. Oh, butterscotch. Anything like Werther's and stuff like that. See, now I didn't even know. Yeah, Skittles do work. Swedish, Sour Patch Kids. Oof. That's a younger generation than my growing up within the Gen X era. It's like, I'm Star Wars, you're Return of the Jedi. And that's such a Return of the Jedi thing. Yeah, no Butterfinger. Airheads, those were very common. Definitely very common. I could have easily had said that. But I also think Elithalor would have shit all over that one. So, damned if you do and damned if you don't. Let's see what LK says. This is a new thing. They have groups all the November and DC movie and the holiday releases. Yeah, I understand that. It's the week before Black Friday. You got to take advantage of this crazy sale I'm doing. What are you going to do on Black Friday? I'm going to recuperate. Small Business Saturday. Don't forget that. If you have actually a small business, ask them if they're going to be taking a part of that. It's usually not a Black Friday. It's very hard for small businesses to contend with, well, it's always hard with, Amazon and Walmart and, the bigger places. I can't hardly think of what they would be, these days. But they're out there, the Best Buys. Is the Best Buy just online now? I mean, it really feels like that's all it is too. But yeah, go to Small Business Saturday, or go to your small business to see if they're doing it. We'll have a sale. It'll be like 20% off on graphic novels, and we're gonna somehow be able to like facilitate it for people. Lane Kramer, most scary X-Men. So it's the first Hellfire Gala comic, or perhaps an issue of Children of the Atom by Vita Ayala, or New Mutants Lethal Legion. Scary. Whew, baby. I tried. I wanted to dip my toes in the Charlie Jane Anders New Mutants, and I was scared. It was too cold for me. Let's just say that. No, the scariest X-Men book is X-Men Green. You're gonna have to go a little bit farther back. This is Mother's Basement. I gotta go a little deeper into the archives in order to find it. So maybe think a little bit farther back. Ken Trons just got back from taking my kid trick-or-treating. What I missed? Not a damn thing. Hello. You suck on Facebook, Yule. Now we know why Captain Marvel was so bad. Kelly Sue DeConnick was a consultant. Oh, wow. Yeah, I believe it. But I mean, like, what does that really mean? Oh, hey, this character is totally different what it used to be. You've totally ignored all that stuff and made it so it's this. Can you please come and consult on this bastardization of bastardization? Oh, man. Yeah, Miro. I don't get it. How can you not love Smarties? Thank you, man. And the thing is, we went to Togo's, got a nice sandwich, got a leftover for dinner tonight. They had Smarties right there in front of us. And guess what Jill picked up? Exactly. Wait, what's this? Did you hear the story how grunge got tied in with flannel? Well, I remember that. Basically, the Seattle musicians trolled a New York Times reporter, and he came up with an article with a new music trend. That's pretty hilarious. I didn't know that. Yeah. So Pacific Northwest. I had a flannel. Okay. Last two. I'm not for anything not chocolate. So Skittles, anything sour candy. That's right. That's exactly who I pegged. Ken, were you even alive for Return of the Jedi? You must have been, right? You're not as young as I think you are. We've been dressing up as What Does the Fox Say since it came out. It's so comfy. We hand out full-size cheapest candy bars each year. Awesome. Oh, 83. So yeah, that's 83. That was Return of the Jedi. You could have been in the womb for that. Maybe it's something from Chuck Austin's run. No, it's not. Let's move on from the scariest X-Men book and talk about the fact that I went to the Berkeley Comics Show. Yay! It's it's like every couple months. You can follow them on Instagram. They usually have a post about all the vendors that are going to be there. Obviously, it's in Berkeley. It's in an adult school. There's plenty of free parking. It's away from society, basically. I mean, there's cars. It's a main street, but it's pretty accessible, and it's great. And I'm going to show you guys what I purchased. So I already had this copy of Rampaging Hulk. This one has a Jim Starlin black and white Hulk story. All of these were in black and white. And then the backups here were Bloodstone. But you know what else is? There were these galleries of villains right here. And the pictures were drawn by Keith Giffen. Isn't that great? And then, like I said, there's a Bloodstone story. And he is pretty big in the Marvel universe. And he's all super actiony like kind of guy. I needed to get I need to get more of these. Later ones have Moon Knight in them with Bill Sienkiewicz doing the art. So I went with a mission. I was going to get that, probably one of my Spider-Mans, or I just realized there's a birthday book that I want to get. And we'll see if I got it. For $1, I got EO by Tim Vigil. It says Not for Children. And his collection of Faust came out. I don't know if I can show you any page in this at all. It's so great. Oh, here we go. This is the only one. There you go. And I got issues 1 and 2 of this 4-issue miniseries. And I mean, if you like Tim Vigil, it's pretty fantastic. But I mean, even me, I was looking at these pictures and oh my God, I'm shocked. Just shocked. Oh, not Captain EO. And we watched that just recently too, along with Thriller. What a great video. I got this Prophet and Chapel. It's very, it's written, the plot is by, everybody loves Brian Whitten. Remember his classic comics? Script, Robert Loren Fleming. Speaking of Keith Giffen. Penciler, Mark Pajarillo. And he was horrible here, but he was better than some. And he's gotten a lot better since then, and I'm sure he took his trade to Hollywood or something like that, but you don't see him in comics hardly anymore. Somebody you sort of do see in comic books is Dan Panosian, and he was, I think, the original penciler for Prophet. But I don't know what this freaking this is a 0 issue. I don't know. I've never seen this one before. Let me show you Dan Panosian because people like his work. He does covers. Marvel hires him to do covers like you'd expect him to do, like a Conan cover or something like that. Something that's gritty. He also writes things, and I think he has a book that's coming out from Image Real Sin. But this is his Prophet. And man, that musculature. That's rough. But I mean, he was a kid, and it's easy to crap on. But you got to realize they come from somewhere, and there is storytelling going on here that a lot of times Image Comics aren't really given credit for. So don't always sneeze at those. But I was able to get some Rampaging Hulks, and I got these all for $10 each. Tracy Irvin. Really liked Faust when I was a kid. That was not for children. Dwayne Moose says, I just picked up Rampaging Hulk #2 with the X-Men by Doug Moench, Walter Simonson, Alfredo Alcala Inkwash. Why, you know what? Here's issue #1 for $10. Walt Simonson right there this is what he's talking about. This is issue 1 though. And it starts with a real quick recap of how he became the Hulk. It took about 4 pages to do so. He still hits on all the things that made the Jack Kirby classic so great. Bruce Banner screaming hours after the first the explosion. Then of course there's Bloodstone in here. Here are the rest of the things that I got. Here's #2, as you were saying. Here's #3. Pretty sweet. Oh, I like this. Nice Jim Starlin cover. This is #5. I already showed you #4. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, Jim Starlin was not the penciler this time, but a stalwart of Marvel who did a shit ton of work, Keith Pollard, and with Alcala doing the inks. Holy cow. Still great. And see, like when people say, like, Pollard is like a legend, that's when I have a problem. And yeah, that's number one. I also got this. I never purchased Time Beavers when it came out. And I love Tim Truman. I'm not an anthropomorphic guy totally, but he's done it before in the past, and there's humans also in it. Anyway, these guys are going to go through time. I guess kind of like the Time Bandits, maybe. Anyway, very exciting. But I also was able to pick up a book, and it came down to the first Madam Web, and this was going to be over $100, or one of my birthday books. And I found two copies that were pretty ratty. In fact, the centerfold of one came out, and it was the cheaper, nicer looking of the two. But then I saw at a competitor, no less, a very, very beautiful copy of my birthday book. And that is the subject of tonight's
Good.
That's right. So for anybody that's interested, I was born in March of 1970. And it's so awesome to be an Aries baby. Let me tell you guys, really, let's get on to this first. I've got a lot of my birthday books, so I'm looking for anything that has March 1970 on the cover in the indicia. I understand the comics in March didn't actually come out in March, but it says it right there. So a lot of these books I have never read before. And I'm so lucky. Like one issue later, and I would have had to get the Neil Adams Green Lantern. And it would have been so expensive. And I think like I'm so lucky. Like one of the Fantastic Fours that I got was still a Kirby book. That's how long that motherfucker did Fantastic Four. You know what I mean? And I was still able to get a Kirby book. I didn't like Kirby per se when I was a child. I mean, I really knew him more for like superpowers and things like that. But I also got comics that I really am not that big a fan of. And there was a few that were like, wow, these have become ones that I really enjoyed also. For most part, when it comes to Marvel, I liked Defenders, I liked Hulk, I liked Spider-Man, and I liked X-Men. And not all at the same time. Mostly it was Spider-Man and maybe Hulk. So I got like Marvel team-ups, reprints, Marvel Tales of Spider-Man, little books of Hulk and Spider-Man, that type of stuff. So here's a Marvel comic that I probably would have never cared about if I was actually buying comics at that time. I know everybody always loves this comic book, but it's not that big a deal to me. How I found out about this, though, is that Penguin Random House puts out these Penguin Random House Marvel comic books, and they put like, you know, a nice little set of comics in here, and they talk about what they're about. And I was looking at the stories, and sure as shit, there's Avengers March number 74 in 1970. And I was like, wow. And I was looking through this, and it's like all this stuff about like racism, and I really can't wait to get down to reading that. I've got a podcast I'm working on, and this and all this other junk, but eventually I'll be getting to that. But I was able to secure, like I said, from a competitor. So, you know, regardless of the money, it really ripped at my soul. Now, I was able to get a deal on it, so it made me feel a little bit better about doing it. But man, I was really happy to get this. So we have a CVC 9.4. Yeah, baby. Look at that. Look at the corners. Just really, really nice. And for those of you that don't know, that's Roy Thomas writing and John Buscema with Tom Palmer on inks. They do the cover and the art also, or the cover and the inside art also. So we're going to be cracking this open right now. All right, let's do it. Let me just go like that. Yay. Does that work? Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so we've been having pretty good luck on some of these lately. Well, we did like 3 last week. All right, here we go. Just get it in there. All right, that's really good. Now, even with these really clean breaks, I still get little pieces of plastic. Like, oh, here's one right here. Oh, it's horrible when you're shoeless, you know, you should be in the house. Got all these plastic pieces. All right, let's take a look at this really close up. Now, when I take these out, I don't always take them straight out of this protective sleeve because you can't just open them up. You have to actually cut this out. Let me just see what I mean. It doesn't tear or anything like that. So it's a little bit more intensive than just cracking it out of the slab. But I think the fact that, wouldn't that be great? It's 1971. Wow, fuck! That'd be hilarious. Trick or treat, right? All right. What gets you excited for comic books? Like, is it just a cover? Is it a character? Is it a return to form? I think as we go forward with comics that are coming out, we're gonna see, like, so the Ultimate Universe for Marvel, and I'm really talking about mainstream stuff right now, but it's really hard to pin. Okay, it's really hard to. What's the last? All right, so let's say you really like Transformers. Okay. Before that, what is the property that you couldn't wait to go to the comic store to get that wasn't Marvel or DC? And, you know, like, I think a lot of times people will be like, oh, I really like Gru. And they don't realize when it's going to come out. So I can understand. So, like, it comes out, you find out, you're like, oh my gosh, I really am so happy. And you're going to keep coming back every month until it, you know, it's done. But those things do end, you know what I mean? And if you're the kind of person that likes that type of stuff, you only have a certain amount of time where you're going to be able to actually look forward to it. So what excites you to go into the comic store? I often would. So when it became a thing where, so I was unemployed for a while. This is before I owned the store. Taking some time off, you know. And I would meet up with my buddy Eli, who's sometimes in chat here. And I would go to his house, and I was reading these big Steven Erikson novels. So as I was walking from Bart to his place, I was like reading these novels, and I'd be able to get like 5 pages in because, you know, they're pretty intensive. And I put it in my back pocket, and I was getting some exercise. I was feeling good. And then we would go to Dr. Comics and Mr. Games because Comic Relief was suck and not closed yet. And it was close to Eli's joint. And with Obama money, I would buy $25 worth of stuff. Or if I couldn't find enough comics to get, maybe it was 20, 25 really. If I couldn't get to 25, I'd get to like 17. I'd sometimes be like, oh, I'll get a trade instead. But the books I was buying was, I wasn't getting a lot of DC. So I was getting the, what happened after New 52 and then Countdown and all that shit. Oh, Brightest Day. That's what it was. I was getting Brightest Day. I was going in every week and getting a Brightest Day, or it was bi-weekly, I think. And I think I was getting Birds of Prey by Simone at the very, very beginning, but I couldn't get into it. And for Marvel, I was always buying Fantastic Four by Hickman. Always. And then it was usually just some other junk, or maybe like when Dark Horse was doing the Conan, the big thickies. I was getting those. And, that was about it that I can really remember always getting. But those were the books I was hot for with Obama money. And those were great times. And I remember going and looking and buying an alternative comic or something that was just like different than the rest, or maybe getting a different book that I normally wouldn't and stuff like that. It was actually, for me personally, the thrill of going to the comic store and not even necessarily, Fantastic Four didn't come out every week. You know what I mean? This was as Johnny Storm was dying. Spoilers. It's not gonna take. But what is it that excites people to get into the comic store? Is it an event? Because events are happening all the time, and kind of like high spots in wrestling. And I said, it's really hard to get up for another one. And if you're the kind of person that has the loyalty factor to where they're buying all of something, then adding that other, it's really hard. Sometimes Spidey sucks, but it doesn't always. And I don't feel like, it has to be, if I don't like something, I can just stop reading it. I feel like, what is it about the loyalty that keeps people on something? And what about it makes you demand the sameness for all time? Or what you expect is to be like Lane and I kind of commiserate. We're more like on the Black Cat side, or maybe even before Black Cat, for like a femme fatale or some other character to kind of work opposite of Peter. So many people these days talk about MJ, but I got out during the Bagley years. You guys understand that. And like, the stories were horrible. Now, it's okay to say that they were horrible. It's also okay to say I like them or they were good. But they were too much during the 90s. Like, you're reading all the stuff. You're reading a much more mature type of story with like Mike Grell earlier doing Green Arrow and Alan Moore writing comics. And then then come the 90s, we have Spider-Man, and trying to take it as dark and as crazy. Those were those Mary Jane years that everybody says are so great. What I really think is people just really like the Todd McFarlane years, and they juxtapose that onto what they think they transfer it onto what they think they like about the character. And it's like every aspect. If you like Luke Ross drawing Spider-Man, we can never have a real conversation about artists working on Spider-Man. It's like Keith Pollard being a legend, you know what I mean? John Buscema, a legend. Maybe not the greatest all time, though. But, you're going to put him in, like, the Hall of Fame without a doubt. Everybody ultimately would get in the Hall of Fame if you want to honor everybody. But that's like a WWE Hall of Fame. And you don't want that, right? Let's see. I'm still oh man, what happened to this? The Faust Kickstarter. I bought it through Lunar. I only got one copy because they were $90. I sold it, by the way. But this was basically that book. Were they not gonna? I would love to know. Oh yeah, we already did this. Sorry. That 90s musculature looks Liefeld inspired. Well, Pajarillo and Dan Panosian obviously working on Profit. That's Rob Liefeld. That's pretty much where those guys kind of got their start. And a lot of very successful people outside of comic books and within comic books got their start. I had a very good friend at the time. We were trying to break into comics together. I've talked about this before. When he was trying out for like Marvel, he would get like he would get pages and he would light box them, and then he would ink them and he would send them in. And he also did that event, with DC and companies, and try and like show things to people at conventions and stuff like that. And we were also with a penciler, so we kind of were like a team, and it broke away. And then my buddy Eric got a job over at Extreme Studios, and he learned to ink with the crow quill back then because he was all brush at the time. And he kind of learned the new style, and that new style was adopted over at Marvel. And then he worked over at Marvel, eventually he got hired on and then fired. Well, not fired, but you know how it goes. Wow, I'm March 74. Yeah. You might have expensive. Look your birthday books up. You might March. If I haven't asked you before, let me, when you come into the store, let me know what day that is. What's that Avengers at 9.4 go for? I think it was interesting to hear the fair market value of the slabs you cracked. So in guide and ungraded 9.2 or unslab 9.2 is $125. And there's a markup per point. And this was marked up to $200. Now that could have been from a previous grade or a price. It could have gone down. I don't really like to deal with all that in between money stuff at the store. That's why, hopefully you can go into a store and you can get a deal. That's why a lot of people really have a problem with stores that will look things up. I mean, I could do it. Everything can be open to everybody if I just look it up on the internet and see what it sold for last. But that's slab books, or eBay prices, or some dumb person, bought something way too expensive, or maybe it was them that bought it and it's way too expensive. Do you really want me going by eBay prices? Of course, then I have people come in, they're trying to sell stuff, and I looked it up on eBay. Oh man, that's the first way to get me to not care about whatever you have. It's just I can't contend with that. I just say, oh yeah. I mean, I think you should do homework and know what you're doing, but going by eBay, I mean, that's such a lowest common denominator. It's like going to social media to run a business. Tonight is a night to do things that nibble at your soul, even if you bought it earlier and shared it with us tonight. Hellboy or Nexus? I've read Nexus. That's what I'll say. I like Steve Root a lot. I like Mike Barron. I've read his Badger. That's what I was really into as a kid. Hellboy, I like Mignola when he was at Marvel, and there's a Marvel style, and then you see Mignola. But then when he does Hellboy, it's good, but I just don't care about Hellboy. Although the issue that came out a week or two ago had Duncan Fegredo artwork, and he's the greatest penciler living, as far as I'm concerned, in comics. Holy cow, I got to get to the super chat, guys. Jimmy T, there's nothing here. I'll make sure to have some social distortion on when you come in. Thank you very much. We have super chat capabilities. We can also have channel subscribers. Nobody's really hit us up for that yet, but don't worry about that. We'll get to that later. We'll have a reason for it later. We should move on with the show. We can get back to this conversation if anybody cares about it. First up, we're going to do best of last week. I'm just going to go through some books that I read. I read every single one of these. Is that true? First up, we have Slow Burn, number 1 of 5 by Boom. Ollie Masters wrote The Kitchen for DC and Vertigo, and it was about Irish gangsters in like the 70s who go to prison, and the ladies that they are married or hooked up with take over collections and then get people on their side. They like talk to like the Jewish mafia, and they get them ready to have a, they change things, and it's a really good story. I liked it a lot. What's this one? Okay, next up we have Doom Patrol number 7. This is the last issue of the miniseries, although the last page suggests that there will be more. I love this series. Although this last issue was not my favorite one, I just really want to bring attention to it. It will have a collection eventually, and if it does have a new series, I highly recommend jumping on it. This Dennis Culver isn't bad, and anything that Burnham is doing on art is usually quite good. He's got, a style. And I really like the last 2 issues. It was 5 and 6 that really made me like it. They're still within the DC universe. You saw like the Green Lanterns in the previous issues and Batman in previous issues. And this one is just really, really a solid end. And I really do hope that it continues. All right, next up we have Dracula number 1 by the team that brings you Department of Truth from Image and Skybound. We've got a Universal Monsters crossover with Robert Kirkman's Skybound, Dracula number 1. This picks up where Dracula comes into our country and Renfield is being discussed by doctors. So you don't see Renfield get turned or anything like that. And we just pick up the story right away. This is a mini series, and I really like this first issue. Simmons has a very Sienkiewicz-esque quality to his work, and I hope that's not an insult to him to say that, but you have to do something else. Nonetheless, it's really, really good, and it works for this book. And I like the Dracula story. Jill and I were talking about, we actually watched the Universal Dracula and Frankenstein this month, like within the last week. And that was the first time I actually saw Frankenstein entirely. And I'm a big Dracula fan, and I really dig Renfield in that. And I think he gets some good play here. Best of last week, number 2, Gone by Jock. He writes it, he draws it. He does 2 covers, and I don't know. I mean, it's these magazine books sometimes, I don't want to like them. Maybe because they're magazines and, they're hard to put somewhere. You got to get a magazine box, or you got to just kind of like throw them in something in the bathroom. But Jock is I like his art style. Again, another kind of like a Sienkiewicz thing. Maybe not as scritchy, but he tells a fantastic story about this young woman who is a have-not, and she's trying to rob with her friends and these new guys this freighter, this passenger, it's going to go on a cruise and whatnot. And they want to steal all the food. Like, you're going to have the food for a year, and we're going to get in and get out. And everything is working really good, except the new guys that they hooked up with are like terrorists. And our main character, she gets stuck on this vessel, and she's like living in its bowels. And she's going farther and farther away from home. And there's all sorts of stuff that's going on, and I really liked it. It's atmospheric. It's going to be a mini series. I think it's like 4 or 5 issues, but this first one was fantastic. It is a $9 price tag, It's about 64 pages, maybe 48, but it's worth it. I don't want to like Distillery, but this is darn good. And let's go back to a normally priced $5 comic book in Action Comics number 1058. This, for me, was the first perfect Action Comics I've read in some time. Action Comics usually has 3 stories, and Secret Identity started up with Gene Yang and Victor Bogdanovich on art. They were the guys that created, I guess you can say, the new Superman, which is the Chinese Superman, or as those of us that actually know who he is, it's Kenan Kong. And he is a fantastic fan. His character was so unlikable, but strangely likable. I love the Chinese Justice League and all that. I didn't read every issue, but it was a really good book, and I'm glad that Kenan Kong is back within the pages of DC Comics. He is still hooked up with a group, but this time it's like the entire Action Comics family. And then the Panic at the Parade was a Bibbo and the twins, who are the rescuees from War World that Superman Clark Kent brought back to his family. This issue is actually the action, the main story, the Superman story is the second part of a story. So if you want to get the first part, you need the issue beforehand. Nonetheless, every single story in this was very good. Every story had really solid artwork, and it just did a really good job of making me like the entire comic book. And I usually don't always read every story, so there you go. Action was the best of the week. Dun 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 dun. Let's go to comments. Holy cow. Okay. Let's see. I'm getting so overwhelmed now. Duncan brings his A game, Dwayne Moose says. Duncan for Greta. Lithaler, I was on vacation last week, so this week I'll have a big stack to pick up my LCS. And I thank you for your LCS. First member, not new member, Ali K became a YouTube member. All right. There's stickers or something that I made available. I hear people like that. Thank you, Ollie. You're a really good customer, and I love hanging out with you. You coming by tomorrow? I am so hopeful for Doom Patrol. Me and too. Yes, Dracula is added to your pile. Lane Kramer says, so I am confused. Why is Detective Comics going bi-weekly for a storyline starting this week? This, if you can believe it, almost makes me want to break my sabbatical for the year. There's another Batman book that's going to be happening soon that also makes me want to break my sabbatical. Can you guess what it might be? This one is going to have art by Jason Sean Alexander. Buy it, if only for that. That's all I can say. I don't usually get Batman and Detective, but Detective would be one I would probably check out if I was going to check out something that was mostly for the artwork. Hopefully Ram V can pull it out and make it really good too. And then Christine K. Ooh, Gone sounds very good to me. If it's a mini, I want it added also. You got to watch more. Yeah, it's done. No problemo. Let me just get rid of these pictures. Let me get rid of this banner, and we will talk about new comics coming out. You know what gets people excited for comics? I feel it gets people excited for comics is actually talking about them. I don't know. I don't need to know everything about something that's coming out, but there's all. I'm going to be like my dad here. He would say, "Yule." Let me get this picture. Yule. There's always something that you can compliment on a woman. I had a friend in school, and he would say, he would always go up, kind of like get in our space. And if one of them was one of our friends that happened to be a girl, he was like, you sure don't you don't sweat much for a girl. That was a funny. All right, first up. Now let me turn this off. All right. Detective Comics. Oh, speak of the detective. Jason Sean Alexander. You don't want to be confused with Jason Alexander in any way possible.
You know, my last name is Costanza. That's Italian. So you and I are kind of like countrymen. Huh? Paisanos! 650 your change. Ah, yes. And I always take care of my paisanos. So here's a little something.
Antonio!
Si!
Vieni qua! Questa miserabile patron...
Don't be like a George Costanza. Did I say Pizarro? That's so funny if I did. That's my buddy from back home. Don't be like a George Costanza. Be seen, be heard. There's super chat capability. There's join the channel capability. It's only for the price of a comic. I think a good price comic. And there's Patreon. Oh my gosh, we're not going to ignore you. I swear, something's coming right around the corner. Give me a little time. I got something. I swear. And yeah, so there's all sorts of things that you can do. You can actually just come into the store and buy something. You can order something. I'm more than happy to take your emails and ship things. I usually ship pretty cheap and fairly decent from what I understand. So yeah, Detective's coming out. Oh yeah, also hit the bell, blah blah blah, and follow us on our social medias, especially Substack. That's what people really like. This is the final issue of Scarlet Witch until Scarlet Witch by Steve Orlando and whoever Pacelli. Oh no, Pacelli's not on art in that one. It's somebody else. It's Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver is going to continue. The Orlando crying about Scarlet Witch sales going in the tank. X-Men 28, contrary to public opinion, X-Men is good. It's not always good, but this book is usually quite good. I don't have a problem with anything that goes on in it, and it is almost always the only X-Men title I read. So I think it does a good job of giving me what I want, some mutant action. There are a lot of covers, though, and they are quite good quite often. But yeah, anyway. Avengers number 7. Well, I was in Eric O'Sullivan's chat today. No, I wasn't. I was in Wes from Thinking Critical's chat because he had a premiere video today. And someone was saying that Avengers was boring with boring villains. I say thee nay. I loved the 3 or 4 part story that happened just a few months with the Ashen Combine. I love the way the Avengers took care of them, and I can't wait to see those guys come back and cause all sorts of problems again, if it can happen. Nonetheless, I mean, this has been a really good series. I think Jed McKay is doing his best work. Like for me personally, his best work is on this. His Doctor Strange has been pretty good, but it's more for Pascal Ferry on that one. Art on this one's good too. I'm really excited for this one. I have it here and I haven't been able to read it yet, but this is, I do believe, a one-shot Ultimate Universe story by Hickman. It's kicking off the whole Ultimate Universe that's going to be going on pretty much next year. That's where we're going to see a late in life Spider-Man by Peter Parker. And he's already married with a kid, I think. And it will be a little bit of a different take on Spider-Man, and I'm looking forward to that. Peach Momoko is going to be writing and drawing in X-Men, and there's been some pages that remind me of a tame Shintaro Kago. Again, I'm really, really excited to see a different take on the X-Men. And then Brian Edward Hill, who's doing a really good job on Blade right now, at least as far as my sales and 2 issues that I've read. he's going to be doing the Black Panther of the Ultimate Universe. So those are some titles that I am actually looking forward to. And as my maybe dissatisfaction with some of the Marvel Universe continues, maybe I can, if this is going to go the way I hope it goes, be my real superhero Marvel Universe, at least for the time being. We'll see. The changes are afoot. Next up, we have Doctor Strange #9. Oh, Jed McKay, everybody, with Pascal Ferry, everybody, and a beautiful Alex Ross cover. There are variant covers, and this is one of the times I wanted to maybe like push the Doctor Strange envelope in the store. Maybe one of you at home wants me to order it for you and or pull it aside for you, or maybe I can send it to you. You could be a part of a raffle. The 1 in 25 variant cover. This is a little bit inside, letting you know how much I actually sell this, but I'm pushing it up to bigger numbers so that I can sell this, or so I can raffle off this 25th issue. But you got to make it happen, and you got to buy this issue, and then you can get this David Mack cover with this new character. I'm not going to say it's going to be worth money, but it is a variant cover that David Mack is doing. And at the very least, that's something that's, I think, cool to win. All right. Spider-Boy #1 with all his variant covers. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. And this has really nice artwork by Paco Medina. Dan Slott's writing it. I looked at a few pages. It's all right. It's nothing bad. I do like this kid's costume. And he's weird with all his eyes, too. And he's a redhead. Yikes. Don't worry. When they put him in the movie, I'm sure he'll be black. So you can all rest assured. Rest easy tonight is what I mean. Sacrificers #4 by Max Fiumura on art and Rick Remender writing. Rick Remender has an exclusive contract working at Image. He said, Mark Miller, you're telling us that we should go and work for peanuts at Marvel while their parent companies rape our stories and don't give us money? And that will help comics and help us on the independent scene? He said IDD. Wait, hold on. Let me do this. And he's done 3 really good issues of Sacrificers, and I've upped my numbers on it, so I should pick it up. Great art. Supergirl has a special and very, very many variant covers. And there's one by Will Jack. Get it? It's really cool. White Widow #1. Uh-oh. Contest alert. This is a mini series, and I had no faith in it whatsoever. But there's an Artgerm cover, everybody. And this isn't it. This looks like David Marquez. It's pretty cool. It's action-packed. I don't care about the Black Widow. I definitely don't get too about the White Widow. You know what the funny thing about both those characters are? They're both white. But there's a variant cover. Oh, wait, that's the Artgerm one. Shit. There you go. There's the Artgerm cover, everybody. There's a variant cover, a 1 in 25, and I'm going to have another raffle for that. So if you buy any of the covers, you'll be in on the raffle for... Whoa. What a sexy Adam Hughes cover. Everybody loves Adam Hughes. So get your White Widow today. All right. Next up, we have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom special. Did you hear there's going to be an Aquaman movie? Let's see. I got to take this banner down so we can see what's going on here. I'm going to take this one down. It's got, oh my goodness, Tim Seeley. Is that Ethan Sachs, really? Mendoza? I don't know any. Oh, Ratman. Norm Ratman's inking, everybody. All right, we got somebody. Anyway, there's an Aquaman book coming out. I shouldn't make fun of it. It looked pretty good, and it's thick. It's like $7, so it's a steal, I guess, compared to like other DC specials. Dan Panosian writing. Savage Red Sonja. That's a Panosian cover also. See the difference? See the difference? Two more books. We've got Faceless and the Family. Number 1 by Matt Lizniewski. I follow him on Instagram. He does really cool artwork. I like this whole it's lengthy, kind of angular, but also kind of puffy textures. And he's really good. He's got like that Trad Moore thing going on. And I'll show you a couple pages also. I think I have that right here. The last. We've got Unnatural Order. So now this will be a in-store purchase only. And at least I should say it will be free for anybody that comes inside and gets it. Anybody else will have to pay cover price. But that's just because I'm a dick that way. Can't take advantage of me. There was like a special offer where they were giving this basically away for free. And all I had to did was order it, you know. So I did order it, and I plan on giving it away for free for anybody that comes and picks it up. So come in, pick up your holds, and get a free comic book called Unnatural Order. Kyle Yost is writing it, and he wrote comics at Marvel back when people claimed to have liked Marvel comics. So if that's you, you might want to come in and get it. And there you go. Here's that Faceless and the Family. This is beautiful. It's black and white. And yeah, I can't wait to delve into this. It's all very interesting looking. And oh, look at this. What a nice page that one is, that splash. Yeah, man. So this is from Oni. Oh my gosh. And I'm recommending an Oni comic book. This is fantastic. It is an $8 comic book, but you're really supporting a small company when you buy that book, and a good creator. I think that guy's got real promise. I like things that I want to be able to buy my superhero comics and enjoy it, but I also want to get something else. This is something I would have bought with Obama money at the time. Maybe that's what all. It's an Obama-worthy purchase, which means I was on unemployment at the time. Comments. Let's see here. Okay. Of course, Scarlet Witch will continue. One of the Marvel's work trends has been rebooting books with the same creative teams. No other changes than just wanting to have another one. I feel like there's an exception, but then we weren't talking about this also when Dan Slott did the Superior Spider-Man, but then he did Spider-Man, and then I think they even did another one after that. We saw recently Daredevil do it with the Zdarsky. Somehow the second run wasn't as good. And it still had the same writer art team, at least for the most part. We saw it with Rainbow Rowell over on She-Hulk. It ended, and now it's Sensational She-Hulk. I gave it a pretty good a look at, and I thought it was an okay book for people that like that kind of stuff. And I got variant foil covers if you want to, get hooked. Well, I mean, I'm going to hook it into your wallet for that, is what I'm saying. Let the Lord. Wolverine has been a really good book since he left Krakoa. Oh, that's good to know. I like I said, I believe that to be true. I think Benjamin Percy, for the most part, is a pretty darn good writer. He's lacked at times. There was a time when he did like a werewolf story in Green Arrow, and it was garbage. And I think that was the story that ended the New 52. And when they went Rebirth, I think he still Ben Percy remained on it, but with like Otto Schmidt on art and other people, it was wow, really, really good. So yeah, that one was good. All right, now I'm gonna get this up really quick. You guys have no idea. That's great. Of course, I guess maybe I shot you guys down a little bit on that one. Let's go back up. Lane Kramer going to pass on the ultimate. Don't pass on it, man. I like Hickman. I think he's good. And I'm hopeful that this won't feel like something that's like a really big thing, like he does on his stories a lot of times. He can do down to earth books. He really can. I believe it. I am consider reading one of the new Elseworld mini series. Yeah, me too, Lane. I'm probably the one that had Superman, I think, in it. Yule, has Marvel been late with the solicit info, or is this a DCBS thing? I think you asked me that before. Oh, maybe it was like an Eric O'Sullivan or somebody did. This past month, most of the Marvel entries for the January books had no info except the title. I had to add Ultimate Spidey late. So there have been times when I only order from Penguin Random House, obviously. And the only thing that's weird sometimes is when there's like a double issue, they'll actually solicit that one before the issue that actually you're waiting to do the FOC on or the ordering for. And it can be a little screwy that way. As far as the DCBS thing, yeah, it could totally be that. I have the January one should be up now though. We just got our books in like last week and I've been putting them out. So actually that might be early. This month went on a while. Always loving Doctor Strange, guilty pleasure. Left of my power cord at work. Oh, excellent. See you tomorrow, Christine. Save your money and buy the better White Widow from Jamie Tyndall. And I think it's Absolute's Comics Group. How dare you? What is that, like 25 and 50 for a pair, one with the dressing and one without? The Betty White Widow. Been looking forward to Unnatural Order for a while. Yeah, all right. It looked really good in the inside. I think that was a Scout comic book. I can't remember. I think I took the picture down already. Lane, hey Yoel, I was curious, is Saga still selling much? Still my best-selling book. Let's just say that. I have not heard much about it at all, I guess, since it came back after disappearing for years. So if you buy it in trade, it ended with a very big deal scene. That's all I'm going to say. And like, spoiler alert, still going on. And then since then, there was the long break, and there have been enough stories for 2 books. One book has already come out, and the next one should be real soon. We're about to have that with Moon Knight. That's right. The one thing I'll say about Moon Knight is something's happening, and they're calling this Vengeance of the Moon Knight. And yeah, so I mean, it might not totally be the same, but and then Lane also says I'm skipping the Ultimate Universe in general. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally I say this a lot today. I almost always only read continuity based stories. I don't like What If. I don't like Elseworlds. But that's going to be a big heap and pile of what we're getting in the beginning of next year, with the exception of like Spider-Man Gang War and the Fall of X, the Rise of X, or whatever the hell they're calling it, Rise of 10. And then eventually the new regime. We have some really good stand-alone books right now going from Marvel. If you like the comedy and fun aspect of Sensational She-Hulk, there's something for you. Let's call it a little girly. Let's just call it that way. You got your Avengers, you've got your Spider-Man, and an event wrapped up in that. And you might not like all those, but then there's Hulk, and that's pretty good. So not everything has to tie in with all the other stuff. And there's still other miniseries that are coming out right now. There's that Silver Surfer one that's coming out. There's a lot that are tied into X-Men right now also. But There'll be more, and it's kind of the way things are going right now. Are these the type of things that excite you? I like it when, yeah, it's tough. It's very tough. I'm gonna introduce you to my to the scariest X-Men comic now. Let me just find this video. You'd think I'd be able to find it. Jesus. Here it is.
Here! I'm down here! Down here!
Mr. Sheldon?
All right, Mother's Basement, everybody. I hope you found your way down here safely, and let's get on into it. I am, of course, talking about the Christmas issue of X-Men number 143. Oh my goodness gracious. This is a Kitty Pryde issue. And for those of you that don't know, I had a major crush on Kitty Pryde as a kid growing up. She was pretty cool. You know, it was like her and the Black Cat, and maybe the ladies over in the New Teen Titans. Yeah, that was what it was all about when I was 10 years old. I was younger than Kitty Pryde. Are you kidding me? And even though she's aged, I'm still now older than her. It's crazy. I mean, Kate, whatever she's calling herself these days. Let me make sure I have this one video up before we get into this. I'm a super, super big Uncanny X-Men fan. I had to buy almost all of the John Byrne issues after the fact. And it was expensive, but you know, I saved my dimes and nickels and quarters, and I got that up, and I was pretty happy about it. Let me just make sure. Jesus, let me get it over here. Is it here? No, it's not. Sorry, guys. So sorry. I guess we don't need it that bad, but it should be right here. Huh. Oh, well. Oh, well. We don't need it. All right. So this story starts off with a flashback. What? It's Storm, and she's getting pierced in the chest from these demon-looking creatures that came up from this cairn, and she's trying to fight them back in. And we see what she had to do in order to make that happen. And she is getting pulled into the cairn with the demons. And then she uses her lightning power over the elements. And she forces them back inside and crumbles the top. And they're trapped forever. Or are they? If you're interested in this, you can go back to issue number 96. And if you thought it was expensive and hard for me to get the John Byrne issues after the fact, why, my goodness, you must have thought it was near impossible to get the Dave Cockrum ones. And I almost had all of them, if you can believe it. This is Cyclops being so upset. He goes off for miles outside of Xavier's mansion. And he's so upset because he had just lost a team member, Thunderbird, who was pounding on the plane of Count Nefaria. Did I got the right one? And they both blow up in the plane. And stubborn Indian bastard. And this is great, this conversation that the narrator is having. You and the X-Men had saved the world from a nuclear holocaust, but you've lost a man to do it. And try as you might, you can't balance those scales in your mind or in your heart. Can you, Cyclops? Can you? Can you? And he's like, no. And he's just like blasting willy-nilly with his optic blasts. That's when he unearthed the cairn and opened it up so that, all the bad stuff happened. And here again is where Storm is using her lightning powers, her power over the elements to trap them back in there at the end of that issue. Very expensive issue, too. Present day, John Byrne doing the art. This is his last issue. I was collecting X-Men come the last few issues. Days of Future Past I got in the 7-Eleven month after month, those 2 months. That was the first time that had ever happened that way. So I guess I had become a fan. And then collecting with my father, we got these books. And I, of course, still have mine from when I was a kid. One of those demons has escaped. And oh my gosh, he just choked this dude out, killed him, killed his girlfriend. They were going up. They had plastic trees before, and they had those pre-chopped trees, but they were going to do it themselves. And that was a bad mistake, if you ask me. And here's a great splash page. Oh, yeah, the way this demon. Yeah, nice. Chris Claremont writing. He's going to stay on this book. Terry Austin, I don't think he's long for this book also. I could be wrong, but it's Dave Cockerman on art, that's for sure. So Kitty Pryde is doing her studies, talking about the Blackbird, the jet that the X-Men fly. And Professor X is grilling her, and she's going through all her studies. She's only 13 years old, but she knows computers. You know what I mean? She's a smart chick, and she's really talented and smart, but she's going to have to stay here while all of her friends go out for Christmas. Her friends being Angel, Professor X, Wolverine has Mariko, and he's introducing her to everybody with Colossus. And then Nightcrawler bamps in and does a mistletoe routine with Mariko, and there's Wolverine getting super upset about that. He would have slashed Nightcrawler if he couldn't have got out of the way. I like how Colossus's shirt, I mean, this is a nice shirt. It doesn't rip when he turns into his metal form. Professor X calms Wolverine down, and he's really embarrassed about the whole situation. He's like, I'm out of here. Trying to lighten the mood, Kitty Pryde, no, don't forget, she's instigating this, okay? So, when people want to like really talk smack about her being 13, let's not forget Colossus is a hayseed from frickin' Russia. And he might be 18 years old, but, he was living on a farm with his sister and family. That was about it. And he's blushing. They're making fun of him. And then soon, Aurora gets the car, and they're off. And there's a phone call. This is one last thing. We got Cyclops. He was very, very tortured. We saw him earlier when when Thunderbird died, but now he's tortured because the love of his life, Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix, Marvel Girl, died. She committed suicide, actually. And he's going to try and find himself, and he's he's trying to get a job on this ship. He's looking for Lee Forrester. Can you tell me where he is? Why, I'm Lee Forrester. What? She'll be the captain of the ship, and a love interest for Cyclops for a while, so they're not all redheads, guys. First appearance. Meanwhile, back at the X mansion, Kitty Pryde's using the danger room, and she's going through an hour-long gymnastic routine. So nothing dangerous, nothing she can't handle, but during that, there is a possible intruder, and she's going to go check it out. She goes up to Storm's room, and for those of you that don't know, Kitty Pryde can phase through walls and stuff like that. If she goes through computers, she shorts them out. Cameras, that kind of stuff. She goes up to Storm's room, and Storm is really big on plants. She has the attic, and it's a green room. It's a green room / bedroom. And all her plants are dead, and there's this sticky stuff on the ground. Beautiful panel layout, because the next page, bam, there's the demon. And he's attacking Kitty. And he's ripping through everything, and she's running. She's phasing through stuff. She's dodging. And all this time, she's just thinking to herself. And here's just a little bit of the conversation that's going. Normally, this would be in a caption box these days, and the caption box would be Kitty talking to us and saying stuff about, what she can do or what she might do, or, oh my goodness, I've never, blah, blah, blah. I can't keep this up forever. That thing will thrash through the entire house. I can't run for help either. It could get away, or worse. She's going through everything in her mind like a person would. She's not talking to us. A lot of people would say later on, new readers to comics, that this is kind of cheesy stuff. But what do you do when you're with, I do talk to myself like there's an audience out there. I'm in on it. You know what I mean? But for the normal person that's not in on it, how do you talk to yourself? Do you talk to it like there's somebody watching you? Kitty has to get to a phone. Damn it, they're plugged into walls, and you can't move the receiver far from the phone itself. It doesn't matter. The monster's here, and it claws through Kitty as she phases, and her arm is numb. So she has a little twinge from before in her leg. Her arm's numb, and she knows that she phases, that isn't necessarily going to prevent that thing from killing her. She's off, and it follows her. But she's got a plan. She's going to phase over the control panel of the danger room. She set it for a certain lethality, and the monster, the demon, follows her. And the danger room does its job. And even as it rips open the floor, it gets set on fire, which gives Kitty some time to get away. At least she thought she could, but she couldn't phase through the wall because she's not concentrating enough. I love the action in this, man. This is all action. It's her like, oh my God, I got to do this. And oh my God. And it's like, it's not even Chris Claremont going to Chris Claremont on it like he can sometimes. This is just a really well executed last issue for John Byrne. He even breaks the panel there. Oh my goodness. I love when they do that. She's going to the hangar, and she has an idea. And this is where the video would have been so good. Doesn't matter. She goes into the hangar, and we already saw her working on, the computer. She knows how to operate the plane. There's no question at all that she is able to get away with this. It's been answered in this comic book. There's no question. It's perfect. It's flawless. And she gives she swings the jet around. She blasts it with the engines, and she gets out of the plane, the jet bird, the blackbird, as it crashes into the wall. There's smoke everywhere. She can't see anything. She's levitating over the ground so that she doesn't get burnt. And then from the fire, she has time to scream. Everybody comes back and the lights are off, and they're like, well, she could have gone to bed. Colossus walks into the room, and there's a fire going, and Kitty was asleep on a chair. She's really happy to see him, but she's even more happy to see her mom and dad. And Dad grew a beard. Everybody's hanging out at the end, and I do admit John Byrne does draw a strange-looking kid. His younger kids are even more strange, like, Franklin Richards and stuff like that. not everybody's perfect, but this was, for the most part, a perfect story. And it was a really good end to the John Byrne X-Men legacy, although he's going to revisit it from time to time. He does Wolverine with Archie Goodwin. He recently has been doing X-Men Elsewhere, which is continuing from the Dark Phoenix saga and taking the story on in a different. He's penciled it, he's written it, you can get it, it's for free. Even if you're stealing it, it's just for free because there's no money being made off of it whatsoever. John Byrne, by far and away, the most important creator, at least, no, the most important creator that's worked on X-Men, as far as I'm concerned. I can read his issues all the time. They always just work so well. And he works well with Claremont. He works great with Austin. I just love when there's a really good team chemistry, even though it's supposedly there really wasn't. All right, let's see. Let's go back to chat real. Oh, wait, you know what? Before we go back to chat, this would be a good time for this. That's right. It's almost the end of the show. I like to let everybody know who my patrons are out there. Boom. Next month starts tomorrow, and you can add yourself to this list if you go and donate whatever the minimum money is you can do. And then we'll put you up on this. Doesn't that feel good? All right, now let's go back to messages. I guessed it. It was a brute-esque. Not really, but that's fine. Yeah, she ended it like the alien in Alien. Like Ripley did in Alien. Burn Austin Swan Song. Yeah, that's right. That's right. X-Men just feels like they're going to do a miniseries for 4 months of 2024 to not actually do the new status quo until May of 2024. Well, I'm invested enough to want to read the end. I like well, what's his name? I like Dugan enough to where I can read his stuff. And you gotta suffer with some Kieran Gillen Kieran Gillen, I think, but I can do that. Oh, there you go. The Nagari. That's what it is. Thank you. I feel we are closer to the end of continuity stories than ever. I see the accountants finally taking notice and saying, let's just license out instead of continuing to print these books. Well, that could be a thing for sure. That doesn't necessarily mean that those things are going to be bad, and that could increase my excitement level. Like, let's say Grant Morrison wants to do Firestorm, and I'm going to do the Ronnie Raymond one. I'd be down. He's going to have the professor. He's going to use the villains that are there, and he's going to have the story and the science to do some weird, wacky stuff. I'm on board, all the way. And let's say he's like part of a company, and then they're doing that. That would be cool. But I would assume you'd have to buy a majority, like you get the Bat universe or they're building up their universes and maybe doing that. I don't know. It just seems too entangled, and it would be hard to pull back or demand things. And if a company that didn't produce the work still had control over the people that were doing it, do you really want to read that? I mean, I'm just kind of thinking about it that way. It's there's very few people that know how to really navigate those waters. Jim Zub is actually one of those people. If you're a patron, you can go listen to an old interview that I did with him, and I think it still stands up because talking about that is like he has a way about him that he knows how to answer the questions before they bring them up. And he knows how like these corporations are going to work and want things. My my buddy Landry, who worked with his buddy Eric, RIP, they did all sorts of stuff for Disney Adventures and had their own book in the Disney comics. And he knows how to navigate that type of stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons why when a lot of people are, like kind of bashing Heather Antos and people like that, one of the things that she is known for is being able to, I don't know, shepherd is necessarily the word I would be going for, but she knows how to interact well with those corporate people when it comes to it's them and it's the comic book company. We got to make something without a lot of fucking, the shit's got to come out, and it's got to come out without them getting upset and without the people working on it getting upset. So, oh, son of a bitch. That's right. I was going to be Guel. Damn. Franklin does look like a dwarf. I'm burned. And then LK says, I say that because DC now reports directly to the WB finance guy. I would, again, I've said this last week. I would like to see Disney and Warner Brothers put their comic books into their advertising. All of a sudden, there would be a major influx of cash into these companies. Producing the material so that it makes money might not be more as important. You know what I mean? You lose money when, you're going to be making these fucking comic book movies. You're going to be doing this. Disney's got another 10 or 20 or 30 years that they're going to be doing this. If they own Marvel to go along with it, that stuff is just bonus for them. And they don't need to make any money. That could be part of the advertising. Just take out 10% of the advertising for whatever you were going to put on TV. Who watches TV anyway? Put in your comic books and give that shit out for free. Or make sure comic book stores get it for free and they can sell it for $2.50 instead or whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a $10 book, an $8 book. Getting Hickman on a book shouldn't cost so much more money. But do I have it right here? I do. I was in the grocery store, and I know I'm not even talking about eggs, guys. I bought this Life Superman, the comics, the film, the cape. Would anybody like to guess how much this easily as thin as an Amazing Spider-Man 30 or whatever the hell number that was, 35? How much do you think this cost? And we'll only give you a few moments to make that guess. Is there any reason they don't have ads in books these days? Let's see. I think the problem is they have house ads. There have been Perch did a video about advertisements. I guess it just doesn't really make money. So we've got an advertisement for the game of Spider-Man 2, obviously. Sony probably has a joint thing. Here we have Lego Star Wars, which is a Disney/Marvel thing. And this is in the Avengers book. So now we have a house ad for the Death of Moon Knight. And then we got story. So it's we're doing good as far as the story is concerned. And then we have a house ad for the Vengeance of Moon Knight Lane. And then we have, something for you Gang War fans. We've got a David Aja cover. Shang-Chi. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, Shang-Chi. Story. Advertisement for Thor, and then your code. But as far as other things we used to with 3D goggles and stuff like that, another Lego Star Wars, and the next issue. So those are the advertisements that they have. And hey, you more than 10, less than 20. Well, that's a good guess, Dwayne. This was, holy shit, I didn't even know until just now, just to let you know. $15 Right there. Boom. So it's not just comic books. It's not just things at the grocery store necessarily, but we gotta know that we are holding on to what is in the future going to be an outdated method of entertainment, collecting. It might be more important than ever to actually, believe it or not, slab things. If you're looking about things, farther ahead, way past when you're alive. Will anybody care? That's the question. Shakespeare can die in colleges just as easy as their comic book fandom. And that's probably the reality of the situation. It's up to us to find our own excitement and the reason why we want to be loyal to these things. These companies don't always make it easy. And definitely the creators that work on them, it's not as great as it used to be. But a lot of that's probably nostalgia. So with that, thank you everybody for joining me all the time. And I don't know. I really just alpha beta it. Tell a friend. See you next time.
Lucy and Ramona cruising through the jungles of L.A. Hoping to promote a dream somewhere along the way. They're rolling through the streets, looking for a disco, passing up the trees from a kid named Cisco, trying to make connections with their blemish-free complexions, and just as fate would have it, ended up with Sunset Sam. Sam was selling watches from a suitcase on a TV tray. And Lucy and Ramona kept trying to figure out if he was gay. The three of them were standing, staring at each other, when the light behind their eyes blew each other's cover. The ancient code was branded, and each of them was handed a ticket to their kingdom, 'cause they saw their brother Sunset Sam. Sunset Sam. Lucy was from Compton, and she met Ramona at the zoo. Ramona was from Brooklyn. She left when she was 22. Sam was a native of the Arizona desert, but he split when he was slated for some governmental make-work. Their differences subsided when the common bond was sighted. They were all from the same place that made the famous Sun